Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Tuesday, October 8th, and we started to talk about the fact that Israel is being compared to a whore, to a prostitute, who is looking for anything to worship other than God. I want to give you that disclaimer. Some of the language in here is a little bit more than you would want some children to hear. So you may not want to have children in the room because it's talking a lot about adultery and prostitution. So that brings us to Ezekiel 16:35, which says, "Therefore, O prostitute, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God, because your lust was poured out and your nakedness uncovered in your whorings with your lover and with your abominable items, because of the blood of your children that you gave to them. Therefore, behold, I will gather your lovers with whom you took pleasure, all those you loved and all those you hated. I will gather them against you from every side and will uncover your nakedness to them, that they may see all your nakedness." So in the Fire Study Bible, there was a cool note that said, gathering all your lovers meant that Jerusalem had engaged in spiritual adultery with other nations and their false gods. Now God would use those same nations to punish Jerusalem, bringing such overwhelming destruction that further punishment would not be necessary. So God's going to allow these nations to come in and basically punish these people. In the Cultural Study Bible, where it talks about it exposed your naked body because of your promiscuity, that verse is part of a series of graphic demonstrations of the sexual parts of both the harlot Jerusalem and her lovers. So we've got to be aware that that's what that's talking about. Verse 37. "Therefore, behold, I will gather all your lovers." Oh, I'm sorry, I already read 37. 38. And I will judge you as women who commit adultery and shed blood are judged. Bring upon you the blood of wrath and jealousy. And I will give you into their hands, and they shall throw down your vaulted chamber and break down your lofty places. They shall strip you of your clothes and take your beautiful jewels and leave you naked there." So in the Cultural Study Bible, there was an interesting note. It says Ezekiel, who has taken over the marriage metaphor from Hosea, discusses in detail the punishment descending on an adulteress. In verses 47, and Isaiah 47, verses 2-3, where Babylon is depicted as a whore, her private parts are also uncovered as punishment for her transgressions. In Nahum 3:5, the city of Nineveh is presented as an unchaste woman who will be uncovered on account of her promiscuous acts. With the act of stripping, the husband is not only humiliating his wife in public, but is also signifying symbolically that he brings to an end the commitments he has been bound to since the commencement of the marriage. According to parallel ancient Near Eastern texts, the public stripping of one's wife represented a non-verbal gesture signifying a divorce. The act of stripping naked an adulterous wife is paralleled by Middle Babylonian text from Hannah and a text from Nuzi. In the Hannah text, a woman who wished to divorce her husband must leave the house naked. The standard phrase runs to strip off the garment or to drive out naked. The parallels not only illustrate what was apparently a widespread custom, but also suggest that the treatment inflicted on the wife was intended, in addition to shaming her, to emphasize her sudden lack of economic security. Okay, so we just had in the beginning of chapter 16, God was basically telling them that they were a nation that had nobody to nurture them, nobody to care for them. He came in and did that. And then instead of staying faithful to him, they went off and they worshiped everything else under the sun that they could possibly worship. So God is saying, I am exposing you. I am exposing your nakedness. And that nakedness in that culture also symbolized the fact that they had no economic no means of being able to keep a roof over their head, food on the table. They had no way of taking care of themselves. They were put out of the house by their husband with nothing, not even clothes. They literally had nothing. And that's basically what God is saying to Jerusalem right now, is that that's what he's about to do. He's about to leave them with nothing. And he allows those Babylonians to come in and bring them to exile. Now, I don't know that God's going to expose our nakedness in a literal way, but we definitely get exposed. Our true heart gets exposed when we are allowing ourselves to stray to anything other than God. And we need to be aware of that. And that may be something that God is doing. It may not be something that God is doing. But the bottom line is, it's not going to remain hidden for very long. And that's what we have to keep in mind. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.